Hello, I would like to welcome Alex Reagan and Kika to Living Room Jams, performing an excerpt from Western Transit Town.
The townies sang folk songs by Yevgeny Mars on the way up to the summit of Mount Lurie. Everything smelled of dry pine needles, but as we went further on the trail, things got stinky. Whoa! There was a line of vault latrines at the end of the road. It looked like an abandoned federal demonstration territory camp. There was enough for each of us to have our own stall. Having grown up in a close-knit, analytical, monotheist community, it was the most privacy I'd had on the toilet in my entire life. Things were pretty good on the mountain. I wonder what it was like in Western Transit Town. Clouds swept over the sun, dropping the temperature on the mountain. I ran into a different group of townies who said there was a transit union station at the foot of the glacier near the summit. When we got to a creek, they knelt down to drink the raw water and said things like, "Cleansified hydrationist," "mineralistic bacterializationism," and "metabolicful health ship." Oh man, they talked just like the Blue people did on those spoken word albums I collected, even if they were pink people like me. And those boxed hats, fluorescent tunics, and gladiator sandals sure exposed their diluted skin to the cold. Do Blue people even dress like that now? It was the late afternoon by the time we made it to the station at the edge of the glacier. I was thirsty because I was afraid to drink the raw water, so I took a handful of snow and put it in my mouth. One of the Blue-style townies said, "Violationist refreshification!" and they abruptly entered the station. I followed at a distance, hanging out in the stone hall, where there were faded portraits of federal demonstration officials. Transit union slogans were painted over them, like, "Whose slopes are slopes?" "Management P's clear," and "Trucking is the road to socialism." The hall opened into a stone lounge with a roaring fire. The Blue-style townies huddled together, drinking tea and clacking the stones they found on the mountain in some kind of rhythm. Transit union women sat at the other tables, repurposing old circuit boards and drinking beer. I sidled up to the small bar in the corner. When I sat down, a stiff, rough finger ran along the back of my neck. "All right, kid, we have to have a talk." I turned into the arm of a massive transit union man, whose brown jackets burst to the seams with multiple patches, showing his transit union affiliations. TU 810, Banging Eagles. TU 981, Mango on Mango. TU 1185, Dry Hump Morons. "I've got a bet with my crew about you, kid." He produced a growler of dark beer and held it up with one hand high above my nose and poured us each a glass. "You get as much quintuple bock as you can handle, but no more once you need to pee." I nodded as he took another deep pull from the growler and then filled my cup. face for the first time since he joined me. Every follicle on his head was hairless, as if he was a giant infant. His pink skin glistened with a thick, filmy sweat that reminded me of warm lard. What would this guy think of the whole thing with my faith? The God is found in the inner layers of our rebirth dream because we were born with a deficiency of gut bacteria that can only be healed with weekly grief sessions with analytical pastors? No. I had to get out of here. Where's the bathroom? He pointed at the main entrance. I went outside and ran into a crew of transit union women squatting down on a snow embankment. One pulled down her overalls, stuck a funnel between her legs, and urinated an incredible river of beer pee down the glacier. She pulled up her overalls and said, "Did you even read his nutsack tag?" The transit union man from the bar walked out and unfurled a yellow tag with black letters from the crotch of his pants. Everyone stood still. I slowly leaned down to read it. B.D. Cormer, Transit Union, Crew Chief. When I looked up, he squinted his baby blue eyes and said, "You're with me." Night had fallen on the mountain. Everyone took a look at the sunset coming across the ridgeline and over Western Transit Town below. The blue-styled townies headed down to the camp dugouts, where there was a bonfire. B.D. Cormer exited the station with a couple growlers in hand and walked to a snow tractor. Moonlight glinted off his enormous head as he started it. I jumped in the cab. We rode across the snowy summit into the night.
Wow, that was great. I really enjoyed your performance. Thanks for coming out to Living Room Jams. I have Alex Reagan and Kika here. That was a great job on piano. And so I have a couple questions for you. First, Alex, what was the inspiration for Western Transit Town?
To some degree, living in Portland, it's of course in the Western United States, and it's also a place that has odd hip culture and also a lot of politics going on, both on the streets and, you know, all kinds of different levels.
That is true, yes. Excellent, and I've seen you do spoken word with Western Transit Town before, but now you're writing a novel, and that was an excerpt from that novel, correct? So how's that process going to take that from a spoken word performance to writing a novel?
Yeah, the spoken word performance was based on something I'd written almost 10 years ago now. We were actually in a writing group together, and you were one of the first people listening to it, and I performed it at the event you curate, Loop Madness, as well, and it really developed into this fun gonzo type thing that I would do. And I realized that I wanted to come back to it because it was this world that I was still thinking about, and I was thinking of more rules for it because it, you know, has like quasi, you know, whether it's sci-fi or dystopian or whatever you want to call it, elements. And I've just still been able to just write it and expand it out and adding characters, adding scenes that were never there before. And it all just kind of seamlessly happened from the original spoken word piece.
All right. Well, I'm excited to read the novel when it comes out. That's excellent. And also, Kika, you are a very talented photographer, and I really enjoyed the piano playing. can you tell me a little bit about what creative projects you've been working on lately?
Sure, yeah. Thank you for having me in your living room, and so that Alex and I could do some jamming. I have started to play piano again after playing a little bit as a child, so it's been a long time. But the last 4 years I started playing piano, so it's been just more of exploring music theory through like 4 different pieces, and so having the opportunity to just play background music for Alex's piece was pretty fun, just kind of jamming literally.
That's awesome.
And so it's been nice to do something more in the world of music. My dad and my brother are both musicians, and my dad and I are photographers, and so it's nice to go a little bit out of the visual realm and a little bit more into the feeling that music can create.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you so much for coming to Living Room Jams, and
Thank you for having us.
Yep, you're very welcome. And next up is a piece that I wrote for my debut Exosphere Project album, Floating Above the Earth, and it's called Sea of Cold. Thank you for joining us.
Hey.
Yay! Enjoy!
That's right.